What's up, you guys? Welcome back. And today I wanted to tell you a little bit about how we are creating a budget for our Burr property. And if you're new to this, it will explain a little bit how to quote certain items and the general structure of the budgeting process. That's very critical to assessing the amount of money that you will need throughout the renovation, and it will help you keep on budget and on time.
So I thought I'd just show you guys the preliminary sketch that I drew up based on the dimensions I took during our home inspection. Now, a couple reasons why I do this is it helps me better visualize what the space is going to look like. And it will also be required to submit with your permit application for an extensive project like this, such as like a full basement finish. They're going to want to see that you have all the minimum dimensions for habitable space, your egress window well, smoke detectors, the carbon monoxide detectors. Just the general layout is all required for submitting to get a permit. This ultimately will be used to help construct your budget for flooring, square footage, framing, linear footage, drywall square footage. As you can see, I've got the plumbing lines that I've going to be, I'm estimating this is where they're going to go, which also helps me decide the layout of my bathroom. So there's plenty of critical design elements that are required from a drawing such as this. So if you guys are number crunching nerds, kind of like me, and love to track things, then this is going to be right up your alley. So this is kind of the layout that I chose to use. I just have it broken down by the rooms. This is a Burr property with an unfinished basement, so we're going to be adding a bedroom, bathroom in the basement, family room, etc. So those are my categories. The item category obviously will just be the item that you're going to be purchasing. Quantity is pretty self-explanatory. Price per item or per unit, whatever the measuring unit is, if it's each or per box, whatever. And then the total. So I have this set up so it will do the math for me automatically using an equation. And I think Google Sheets, or I know Google Sheets does it, but Excel, I believe, also has this function. So that's kind of handy if you're going to be going through and modifying the quantity or price throughout the renovation process. This is purchased from, so this will just keep a reminder for you for where you're going to be getting the item. And this is optional, but I like to add the link for each item that I'm going to be purchasing. So for this example, I guess the kitchen is pretty much done. However, it does need a microwave. I noticed during the walkthrough that they were missing a microwave. So I'll just go to my store of choice. Home Depot, I guess, is what I'm going to be picking from. And I'm going to go with a middle ground between quality and price. Since it's a rental, I don't want to do high end, but I don't want to be buying a total pile of junk that's going to break down. So, let's just say I'll use this Samsung here. 219 looks pretty good. So I'll go back over, pop that in. And like I said, it automatically adds it up for me. So my quantity now, or my price, is up to $419 for the microwave and upper cabinet that's needed to install that. So as we go down the line here, you can see that I've got the category here for an egress window. Since we're going to be adding a legal bedroom to the basement, we're going to need to add an egress window. So this is all the items that are going to be required for that task. Now you might be thinking, well, if I have no experience in renovations or remodeling, how am I supposed to build a budget? And it's not an easy question to answer. It comes from a combination of experience and research, both of which I've done a fair amount of. This is our third property that we renovated. So getting to know what's behind the walls is a little more tricky, but for starters, if you're new to this, I recommend just taking a pen and a paper and, for example, walk into your bathroom at home and look around, look at the items that you can see, things like the toilet, the vanity, the faucets and mirrors, vanity lights, tub or shower, the shower head, the flooring material. Think about how that flooring material is attached. All of those things are going to be needed for the renovation process, whether it's a quick facelift where you're just repainting the cabinets, or it's a total gut and redo, in which case you're going to be needing to do drywall, more than likely some electrical. We'll get to behind the walls in a little bit, but just for starters, to get your feet wet, to begin your budget, just go in, write a list of items that you can see, and then go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever your store is and begin looking at prices. Just type them into the search bar. And that's going to be the easiest way to start compiling your data, short of doing all the research. Those are items that you're going to need and can find prices for easily. Now, for items behind the walls, such as HVAC, electrical, plumbing, a lot of cities and states, I believe, require, if it is a licensed rental currently, that you need a licensed contractor to perform any of those tasks. That's mainly due to tenant safety. You don't want a slumlord buying properties and then doing, handyman fixes, to electrical and plumbing, and, putting their tenants in jeopardy, their safety in jeopardy. So I totally understand that. I totally back that. However, this property is not currently licensed as a rental. So the homeowner is able to do all of those tasks as long as they get it permitted, and do not skip your permits just to save a few bucks. For this, our permits are only $420. Pull them, make sure it gets done right. Your electrical is the most critical one, I believe. Just, the fire hazard for improperly installed electrical is ridiculous. So don't even try to save a few bucks by doing that. So if you're not comfortable doing any of that, 100% find a licensed contractor. That's not something to mess around with. So like I said, I've got a decent amount of experience for the stuff behind the walls. I've had a chance to get my hands dirty, but that's something that you're going to have to determine on a case-by-case basis, whether or not you're comfortable doing those things. And those are going to be completed through research. There's no way to really ultimately learn it until you get in behind the walls before you're doing those things yourself. So get on forums. You can call contractors and pick their brain. That's kind of a gray area, because a lot of contractors don't want to give you any information unless you're going to pay them for a quote. But sometimes you can get free quotes from contractors. Have them come over, look at your project, gather a free quote. I know that's how I actually learned a lot about my first major plumbing bathroom installation. Getting a few free quotes and then kind of combining that with the research kind of gave me the knowledge and power to do it on my own. Anyways, as we move down the list here, like I said, we're going to be adding an egress window. So for an egress window, because I've done one before, I know we're going to need a big enough window for egress of a firefighter or escape of a tenant. So I think in Minnesota here, it's like 5.7 square feet. So I know this 30 by 48 inch window is going to be plenty. We're going to have lumber and trim to frame out around to attach the window to. We're going to have a window well, which is the metal or plastic component that retains the dirt and allows for escape if need be. You're going to have a window well cover. That's not needed everywhere, but since I'm up here in Minnesota and we get a ton of snow, I don't want it to be filling with snow and melting into water, and then potentially having water intrusion issues in through the window and trim. So window well ladder, that's required for escape. I don't know what the height is. It's anything over like 36 inches, I believe, or maybe it's 2 feet. But anyways, all those codes are going to be city specific. So you're going to go to your city's website and you can actually access. Most cities will have a list of all the codes required for each individual task. So if you're looking at putting up a fence, they'll have all the codes, setbacks, egress window, you'll have all the sizes and dimensions, etc. So, and lovely Minnesota, we've got frozen ground during the winter. So I'm going to actually need to rent a jackhammer to chisel out the dirt to install this. So that's an extra cost that's typically not included in egress window well installation. So other windows, I'm going to replace the other windows in the basement as well as I go through this, just to let some more light in. They're glass block windows currently. So That will be letting some more light in, as well as better R value. Anyways, that's kind of the way I'm breaking things down. I've got the bathroom here that I'm going to be adding. So it's going to be things including the rough plumbing. This is all the plumbing that's going to be behind the walls and the concrete itself, shower, vanity, faucet, water lines. These are all approximate prices since I haven't actually broke it up and done the final layout. I have done a preliminary drawing based on the measurements I took during the inspection. So I do have a rough idea of what I'm going to be needing for lumber. And lumber is a good thing to explain to you guys, because not a lot of people know how to quote how many 2x4s or whatever you're going to need. So one thing I always do is you'll measure up all of the walls that you're going to need to be building, the linear footage. And let's just say you have 100 linear feet, and then you times that by 12, because you're going to want to get it to inches. And then standard code for framing for walls is 16-inch on center, which means every 16 inches you're going to have a 2x4. So basically, you take your total linear footage, multiply it by 12 inches, and then divide it by 16 inches. And that will give you the quantity of 2x4s that you need. And I always add an extra 20 to 30 in there, because around doors, you're going to need to double up studs, and in corners, typically you need to double up, and you're always going to need extra. So I guess, yeah, add 10 to 20% more. It's always better to have more lumber and return it than be a couple 2x4s short. So yeah, I basically would go to the store of choice here and type in 2x4x7 to get the quantity, or to get the price. So I got 7-foot 2x4s. My ceilings are a little lower in the basement here for our property, so $472 each. Well, the price went up a little bit since I first quoted this. That's not good. But $472, I've got this math to automatically calculate this price, and then this automatically tallies all these. So it did go up a little bit. So that's one nice thing about adding your equations in. And as we continue down, I have things like drywall. That'll include all of the items related to the drywall process. So the drywall itself, the screws, corner bead, and tape, and that's going to be used for finishing. The drywall mud, and then the labor, which we are going to be hiring out for this job because it is very labor intensive and it is relatively cheap to hire out. I've done it in the past and it's not fun. It takes a lot of time and it's dirty, backbreaking. You're always sore afterwards. So one thing about doing renovations and weighing your time versus cost, I think you've all probably heard your time is worth money. And if you can make more money doing another task, whether that's researching more properties, doing side hustles or other projects that will ultimately net you more money than the cost of hiring out drywall, then it's definitely worth hiring it out. And then we get into the general category, which is kind of general finishes. We're going to add an electric fireplace. I've got some waterproofing that I've got to do on the walls. Shiplap for the fireplace, flooring, door handles, trim, paint. We've got to add a washer, dryer, dumpster rental fee. This is always a tough pill to swallow, but you need to get rid of the construction waste somewhere. And then permits. So like I said, pull your permits. Do not do it the cheap way. Do not skip permits. You want to make sure it's done right. And then as we near the bottom, we've got our contingency budget, which is typically just a percentage of your overall budget. I did roughly 10%. I think that's pretty standard, 10 to 20%. But since I'm doing most of the work myself, I think I can keep this down to 10%. And then we have the pre-tax total, which is just pre-tax, obviously, and then the grand total, which is nice to have to know what the after-tax expense will be. And then down at the bottom, I just lump in a couple extra costs that are not necessarily, they're going to be variable. Well, at least the carrying cost is going to be variable because it's all dependent on how fast we get the renovation done. So we're targeting a 3-month renovation. So it's $1,200 a month mortgage. So that'd be the carrying cost. So we're expecting about $3,600 in carrying costs, which isn't terrible for doing everything or most of the stuff yourself. And then we've got the certificate of occupancy fee, which is essentially your final inspection to convert it into a rental property. So our city specifically is $206. So Yeah, that's generally all it takes. This is a rough budget, like I said, just because we haven't actually got into the property too much. We're closing next month, but I was able to take some measurements during the inspection and create this preliminary budget. So hopefully you guys found this a little bit useful. And it's only going to get better. You're only going to hone your skills with time and experience. So
Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please hit subscribe. I'll be trying to post weekly videos as we get into our renovations, so I hope you follow along, and I'll see you on the next project.